Hey everybody, I'll give you a few minutes to join me. We're going to talk about Pluto aspects to natal planets tonight. I checked in with you earlier. We talked about the equinox, and I mentioned that I would be back to talk about a Pluto subject. But we can also talk about Venus Mars aspects. That's something that's been on my mind lately, Venus Mars aspects. Maybe we'll get to that tomorrow. So, who has a Pluto aspect? Hey, Michael. I don't have very many. People pinpoint me as very Pluto. I don't really have any Pluto aspects, much to speak of. Hey, Lola. Hey, Graham. I just have a sextile between Venus and Pluto, but Mars does rule the 8th house and is in the 1st house opposite to Jupiter. So my 8th house influence is pretty prominent. If you look at it in more of a derivative way, that's what people see, is the 8th house ruler being Mars, being in the 1st. So it brings secrets into the house of what we look like, what we speak, what we do. So that's where you get the look of the Pluto. Hey, Lolly. So we have a few Pluto aspects going on in here. Hey, Leslie, Miriam. Oh, you have Sun square Pluto. Moon conjunct Pluto, Sun square Pluto, tight orbs. Oh, Moon conjunct Pluto and square. You've got a boatload to deal with, my dear Pamela. Pluto, Uranus opposite to Moon and Sun. Opposite Moon. There's a few here. There's a few. Let's look at Moon-Pluto aspects first. Don't know how much voice I'm going to have. We'll go as long as I can. I might have to jump up and grab some tea at some point. Did I make some and leave it somewhere? I do that all the time. I might have to jump up and search for my tea. So with the... Oh, I got it, Fran. Don't worry about it. It didn't make sense anyway. So with Moon Pluto stuff, we're looking at the depth of feeling. And we're looking at how the most vulnerable, influential part of ourself, the most movable part of ourself, that's the Moon. It waxes and wanes. It's moody. It's emotional. It's this irrational cadence within us. It's our unconscious feeling judgments and our habitual emotional patterns. And that is in a relationship with our trauma, with fear, with protection. When we're dealing with the unhealed aspects of things. Moon-Pluto aspects in their best state, when they are healed or when they're beneficial to us, when we work through things, or the easy aspects, it increases our connection. The unhealed aspects decrease the connection. because they are protectionist. We're using Pluto as a coping mechanism rather than as an invitation to something deeper and more meaningful, transformative. Like we are using Pluto or working with Pluto in the positive way. So we don't focus on the positive so much in here because that's not what most of us are trying to transform. We're not trying to fix or transform or receive some kind of help or assistance or leg up when it comes to our easy aspects. We don't go to the therapist to talk about everything that's going right. So that's why when I give these lectures, I tend to talk about the difficult things because that is what actually holds value to us. I could spend time talking about the easy things and, that's fine, but that's not what most people are after. So the moon is where we are most emotional and vulnerable. Venus would be the next motivation, the next characteristic, the next thing, the next universal archetypal expression that would show emotion, reception, what is the feminine aspect of herself. We often forget that Pluto has this feminine polarity to it. So Moon Pluto aspects increase our emotionalism. Whether or not that's healthy or unhealthy, you have to look at the type of aspect. Absolutely increases our perceptions of the potential or the presence of threat. Because our bullshit meter is so attuned with all with all aspects at all, from inner planets to Pluto, the bullshit meter or the barometer for sensing what is unspoken, untrue, unseen, unknown, our penchant for that's very high. We're wired for that because of where we've come from. We had to be vigilant in some way. And the way that we had to be vigilant with Moon Pluto stuff is we had to protect our feelings. We had to protect our, the most vulnerable aspects of ourselves. There wasn't a open invitation to trust. So we have trust issues with any hard aspect from Pluto to an inner planet. And in this case, we have emotional trust issues. We have trust issues that are going to show up heavily in our interpersonal relationships and who we choose to emotionally attach to. No matter what the hard aspect is, we tend to be skeptical about emotional connection. And so we get into testing behavior with any difficult aspects from Pluto to any inner planet. And because the moon is the most unconscious, the most inner drive, the most habitual emotional pattern that we have that we don't even recognize because it operates in the in the background, and the underneath, it's the undercurrent, that undercurrent of feeling. So a lot of us might actually recognize ourselves more as our moon sign than our sun sign. That's where the personal, our personal description of things, what's going on within. So what's going on within with those difficult aspects from Moon to Pluto is deep. And we're always searching on some unconscious level for the fearful interpretation. So we're wired for the next step to be some kind of trap. That's the case with everything, anything that's a hard aspect to Pluto, to an inner planet. But in this case, it's emotional traps. It's that if I trust, if I invest, if I'm close, if I let the oxytocin flow, it's going to result in some kind of loss, a betrayal, hurt, suffering. And so our inability to trust what might be safe, or to accept what's safe, because that's what the moon is after. It's after safety, equilibrium, balance, soothing. And that is very much hampered by these fear stories. And they're very much attached to attachment. I'm sorry. What? Girls! Girls! Sorry, my mom got a new dog, and it's like any peep that she makes, even though they're a couple of 100 yards away, just sets my girls off. Even I'm getting irritated at it. Girls! Come here. Sunrise. Okay, so the moon is the ability to bond. That is extremely hampered by childhood experiences or foundational experiences where bonding, where trust, where attachment, where that all didn't work out. There was some kind of, we came from an environment where the giving over to trust or to mother or to the flow of things, there is an interruption in the attachment process. And the different aspects could show the different ways, stories behind that. The in conjunction is so interesting because often the trauma, the trust issues that developed, they were prenatal. So there's even an unidentifiable basis for people with the in conjunction of, where does this free flowing insecurity and fear, come from? Because it's something that came in even before memory, before language, before birth. It was, really present in that amniotic environment where we're absorbing what the mother was going through. And so we can be born terrified born in fear. And often, right at birth, there is some kind of more immediate separation from the mother, or a lack of consistent emotional connection, some reason for that. With the conjunction, we are after the deepest feeling, the deepest attachment. Conjunctions are so difficult to solve because it's the problem that's right in front of our face. And because it's right there, you cannot see it. Conjunctions remind me of how horses look, how horses see things. You know, they're predators, so they have their eyes on the side of their head. And if you put something right in front of, they can't see, right here in the middle. If you touch right between their eyes, they can't see that. That's how all conjunctions are. It's the problem that's right in front of my face, and everybody can see it but me. With oppositions, we have much more possibility of coming to awareness, because it is a story that exists outside of ourselves, about others. Conjunctions are unconscious stories about ourselves that result in the interaction, in the results that we get from others. But oppositions are stories about you that tell me about me. Conjunctions are stories about me that tell me about you. Or stories about me that tell me about me. They're so selfish. I have a couple. The squares, Moon Pluto squares, we are really, really scared or frightened. More frightened than the conjunction. Because with the square, we can be feeling that, oops, am I already running out of power? I'm going to have to move you guys over so I can plug in. That is so irritating. My device is getting too old. See, with squares, we feel like we're screwed on both ends. That no matter what we do, we can't find peace. Any of the hard aspects between Moon and Pluto are going to bring some emotional unavailability that is there at the same time that we are desperate for deep emotional connection. This is an interesting thing. I'm going to take you over here and plug you in. And I'm going to cover you up here for a second so it's not too discombobulating. So we can be complaining and clamoring for deeper connection at the very same time that we're doing whatever we can to keep it out with these hard aspects. Oh, I'm going to have to unplug my microphone here. So you guys are going to have to tell me if you can still hear me, okay? Can you guys still hear me? Is this still going to work?
Or are we going to have to come in later? What do you think? You can still hear me? Good enough? Okay. So, we're deeply attuned to feel into what is wrong or to what could go wrong. So, we don't have a trusting attachment system, we don't have a trusting assessment. The interpretation that we come to, hold on, is going to be the fearful interpretation. And so we're often complaining that we're not getting the kind of depth of return that we want. But we need to understand that we're doing things to keep that from happening at that same time. Because with all aspects from Pluto to inner planets, see, we want to feel with Moon Pluto, with Pluto aspects to any planets, we want some kind of depth, and we want to be seen. We want to be included with Moon Pluto. But inclusion comes with this story of abandonment. So we'll do things under the surface to keep depth of consistency, vulnerability from building. And we expect all of those things from our partners, but we ourselves are not prepared to give that. That is the case with all aspects of Pluto to inner planets, all hard aspects. It doesn't matter what the planet is. There is a deep, deep, deep hypocrisy and an inability to understand that you're trying to get some kind of revelation or control out of somebody else for the purpose of safety or security. And you're probably most likely doing exactly what you don't want them to do in order to create that control or to see what they're made of. It's such a hard thing to explain to people. I mean, I just had a conversation with a Mars Pluto person, and it's just such an interesting thing. People that have really severe Pluto is it's like the shell of self protection is so thick. You cannot get through, especially with conjunctions. You can't get through. And so if you can't get through their emotional defenses with the Moon Pluto stuff, they will attack you for that. Because we bring out the worst in people with those really difficult aspects until they're healed. This is not a life sentence to pull this. And we bring out the cling in others. We ourselves are emotionally clingy in some way. And we're learning emotional safety, emotional independence, how to soothe and manage and control our own emotions. Because this is something that we're reaching outside of ourselves unconsciously and getting ourselves into relationships or attaching to people where we can have those relationships and those people be that equilibrium or that control. And that's a really insecure place to be because unless we have total control, people outside of us, they could do anything at any time. And we're waiting for the next trauma. Shh, shh, there's nothing going on out there. Shh. We're waiting for the next abandonment. Just a second. Stop it. We're waiting for that that abandoning parent or that abusive parent or that scary, you know, family that we came to. We're waiting for that to repeat. And so emotionally, we're prepared for what it is that has caused us to emotionally close off. And so we're applying these past these past difficulties, these hurts, these attachment issues, issues with our parents, emotional issues. We're applying those to the present, and it seems to be telling us what something is now. And so when we have these unhealed issues, it doesn't matter who we get involved with or what they are or who they are, what they're like, what they do or they don't do. Trust issues are going to be something that we bring into the relationship. And when we continually test, because it's the skepticism of Pluto, really, 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 oh, really, 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 other people will eventually be done with that. They'll come to a place where they're like, you know what? I am not going to live a life where I put up with your constant testing because it is a devaluing way to deal with someone. You're telling them, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. Really? 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 You can't have a relationship where you're constantly having to prove yourself, explain yourself, prove yourself, explain yourself. And if these issues are quite bad with Moon Pluto stuff in the natal chart, if anything is off, even if it's like incremental, if there's a break in the pattern, like you didn't like my last message. You always like my messages, but you didn't like the last one. it will take on an enormous meaning, and it can bring out a lot of hypervigilance and aggression. We have a very aggressive feeling nature, and so we can lash out, we can react very, very intensely to situations where there is a threat of abandonment or a betrayal, loss. And so when there is that disruption in the pattern, we can really lose it. And it is an irrational eruption. The moon is that need for safety and balance. And when that is threatened, we can go shrill very quickly and very accusing and very aggressive. And then we cause the other person to back away, perhaps act in a way that is aggressive back to us. It exacerbates our fears, it confirms our fears. What we feel is what we get. So we have to learn to trust. And we have to learn to make good choices, to have a good discernment, and then to trust in that. Or yes, yes, Pamela, this, well, all the Pluto difficult aspects will, well, all aspects represent a type of self-fulfilling prophecy, always. Because it's a capacity of a planet. And then an aspect to that planet is showing a story that is associated with that capacity. Is it a story that helps or hurts us to have a maximum amount of success? Uh, exercising that capacity, or fulfilling that need that particular planet means. So our capacity for trusting, healthy, fuzzy, warm relationships is diminished with these difficult aspects. It can be enhanced with the easy aspects because we are more willing to take risk, and we are wired to, yes, look for what is off, but that is not all. We're looking for what is deep, or we're looking for the undercurrent. We're not just looking for the scary, abandoning, paranoid interpretation like we always are with difficult aspects. With the easy aspects, we're looking more for a full spectrum, particularly with the trine. That's why we have wisdom that is associated with the trines, because we are just as open to past experiences, interpretation, as we are future interpretations and experiences. We're looking at both the positive and the negative in the past, and not just using the negative as our interpreting factor. And all aspects, good aspects, are like that. They do have some amount of combining uh, positive and negative. Difficult aspects are where we are just focused more on one negative interpretation. And there are no good aspects where we're only focused on the good and keeping out the negative, because that would be a negative interpretation. That would be a difficult aspect. Um, so we need to look at how emotionally demanding are we. because we usually are with Moon Pluto aspects. And we have to learn to soothe ourselves. We have to learn to meet our own emotional needs first. When we come into emotional balance, we achieve emotional mastery. These difficult aspects can serve us well because we transform them. The Emperor has the in conjunction between Moon and Pluto. He used to struggle with it. He had a difficult relationship history. There's a few women out there would like to poke him in the eye. He's never given me a bit of trouble. Not a bit of trouble. It's healed. You know, he's at the point where he makes good decisions about who he gets involved with. And his rate of emotional admission and emotional attachment is very much in tune with, you know, there's markers for the relationship. So as we deepen our connection, he deepens his, you know, ability to trust and invest as he sees the evidence that that's appropriate to do so. And that's what we're learning when we're healing these difficult aspects, is that we need to see that who we're with, is their behavior, their treatment of us, our involvement with them, is that consistent with us being able to rationally see that we can take steps to deepen this? This is a good person. This is a good choice. This is a situation where I really am justified in sharing. Typically, when these are very unhealed, we are unconsciously attracted to people who will hurt us, who will bear out these difficult stories. We're attracted to people who are going to emotionally traumatize us. We're attracted to people that we can't trust. That's all familiar to us, and it helps us to keep those foundational stories of self and our emotional life intact. You have to start to break through those. You have to start to confront those stories. You have to start to see through those habitual emotional patterns and choices to make progress. Because no, not everybody is out there to acquire you and abandon you. There are plenty of people out there in this world that want what you want. They want safety, they want security, they want an authentic connection, and those are the people that you need to find, instead of being unconsciously drawn to people that are going to make it possible for you to continue to sit in your pain because you've been wounded again by yet somebody who was not safe. We're wired to love and be attracted to and attached to unsafe people. And we have to come out of that and find that we are attracted to and are comfortable with people that we find peace with, rather than drama, a lot of ups and downs, and raging intensity. That intensity that we're drawn to is that those peak emotional experiences that are reminding us of, you know, this very intense environment that we grew up in. So Alyssa, you're gonna go away because you're rude. Okay. So when we find that we are attracted to peace and we want to sit with peace, that's when we know we've healed. When we are continually attracted to peak, painful, emotionally dangerous, intense situations and people and experiences, we're still living out our childhood trauma. So I have to lose a taste for it. We have to lose a taste for being attracted, trying to cozy up to the devil, and expecting him to keep us safe. There's something in us that wants people who aren't safe to change, so that they can become safe. And this is very much that complex where we want our parent who was supposed to love us the way that we deserve to be loved. We want them to do that. We want that from them. And on some level, we're trying to get that from the intimate partners in our life. It's not their job, it's your job to love you the way that you deserved to be loved. You have to do that first. You have to do that first by making really good emotional decisions and never loving an unsafe person. I thought I was in that position. I thought I was there. I thought that I would never, ever love an unsafe person again. But I was wrong. I had a little bit more healing to do. But it's put me in the position where now I know, oh, 100%. I could only want and feel comfortable with what's 100% good for me. I just had the square of the moon transiting, Pluto transiting the moon. So I had my own chance to heal some of those plutonic emotional tendrils. Pluto transits, if they do aspect your moon, and you have a moon Pluto difficult aspect, this will put you on the fast track to safety. It will help you heal. And then you can have somebody in your life like I do, that you know is on your team. You know they're not a competitor. You know that they're not going to hurt you. You know it. See, when we haven't healed our Moon Pluto stuff, on some level, we're just poised for them to hurt us because we've chosen an unsafe person. And when they do, it can keep our stories going. Until we choose to love ourselves first and comfort ourselves first, and to never, never, never be in a position where we're sleeping with the enemy. Because we do. Before we're healed with Moon Pluto aspects, we're sleeping with the enemy. And we're expecting them to keep us safe. And when they don't, we can't believe it. How could they betray us this way? But they were always a snake. And there was some part of you that knew it, and that's why you were afraid of them. And that's why you were attracted to them, too. So we stop wanting on this visceral level what's going to probably abandon us and hurt us, maybe even bite us in the night. And we choose what is safe, secure, steady, brings equilibrium, peace, and continuity. No, it won't result in these intense orgasmic experiences. It's not the nature of a healthy relationship. You will have some intensity, but it's not going to be the kind that rips open your wounds so you get to play your games. We have a lot of blame games in our attachment system with Moon Pluto stuff. And we have to let that go. We have to let the games go. The games are defenses, they're barriers to authenticity. We always play games with Pluto involved. These are emotional games, these are manipulative games that we play with Moon Pluto hard aspects. And we have to give over to vulnerability instead of using manipulation as our main tactic of connection. We just use vulnerability, which is the scariest goddamn thing for a Pluto person. Sun Pluto, Mars Pluto, Moon Pluto, Venus Pluto. We fear exposure, but we want it more than anything. So I had one super chat come in here. Let me find that. I wasn't taking those, but I will take that since it came in. I don't want to leave somebody hanging here. So let me see if I can pick that up. KC, my partner has Mars conjunct Neptune in early degree Aquarius. Do you have any advice for Pluto transiting these planets? Well, that's a lazy conjunction. We're dealing with mobilizing our Martian energy, our masculine power, our proactive energy with that conjunction. It's more in going into artistic or romantic or sometimes softer pursuits with that conjunction. Uh, it also doesn't make it the easiest to put our energy into things that are straightforward. So Pluto transiting that is going to infuse a great deal of gumption and what is the word when we're really after something? Uh, Grit and okay, I can't think of the word, but go afterness is what I'm looking at. What I'm looking for. It's going to put him in a position where it really mobilizes. If it's a guy or a girl, doesn't matter. It mobilizes that masculine energy that wants to go out and get something or do something or tackle something. So it's going to make that really slippery, soft, lazy conjunction very ambitious. That's the word, ambitious for a time. Yeah, be much less prone to getting out of things through excuses. We love excuses with Mars Neptune stuff. Just ask my son. Okay, so I'm just going back to the bottom. All right, guys. So I think that's what I've got. That's true, JC. What a beautiful comment. It's deeper. It opens up your heart when you're transformed by someone who doesn't want or need to play games. Yeah, that's how me and Mark are. I mean, you don't have that facade, that defense, that constant testing, that constant demand to prove yourself. You just know you're seen, you're appreciated, and you can see and appreciate the other person. When you're in a relationship with somebody that has a lot of Pluto, you're in a relationship that has an enormous amount of resistance in it. It doesn't flow because there's control paradigms that are embedded into the interaction. I won't tolerate that. I will not tolerate it. If I see that somebody's just not going to be able to move past that, because that can be a thing in the beginning of any relationship. You'll have your rattle and sabers and positioning, figuring each other out, and if that doesn't settle down into cooperation and harmony, then get the hell out of here, because that's all it's ever going to be. Is you will get stuck in the power struggle stage forever. And most people with heavy Pluto in their chart, that's where they exist in all of their relationships for all of their life. Most of them. They do not transform out of the power struggle phase in relationships. So you never get to that place of trust and harmony and peace and ease and flow. And that's all I will tolerate. I will not put up with an ounce of toxic Pluto in my relationships. Just get that out of here. It is so stupid. It's stupid. It used to be something that I was after to a certain degree because I was still healing. And that does give you that rush, Pluto, because it is that struggle that you're engaged in that can make you feel so alive in the moment. But only because it reenacts those stories that keep the ego state alive. It's not about love. It's not about really engaging in anything authentic. So I just can't respect it. I can't respect it. I can't respect a person that brings Pluto into a relationship with me. Especially because I make it clear that I don't do that. And then if you still bling it in, you didn't hear me. You're ego blind. You didn't hear me. You brought that in to see if I'm serious. Yeah, I'm serious because we don't have a relationship anymore. So, no, I won't tolerate unhealed Pluto in a romantic relationship. I don't find it exciting. I find it extraordinarily disrespectful to bring that in. To come into this relationship with your problems and then use me as a way to work that out. Is that really what you think of me? Don't bring your Pluto problems into relationships and then use people as your Pluto post, your whipping post. Because you're breeding generational trauma when you do that. You're passing on your pain. Heal your trauma before you get into your significant relationships. We can't heal everything. There will be some things that need to work out, and that relationships will help us to work out, that are appropriate to bring into relationships. Do not bring your unhealed Pluto into a relationship with someone that you think you love, because you will end up using that relationship as a toilet. And you won't even know you're doing it. So I'll leave you with that wonderful little visual there. I think I'm going to go get into the hot tub. And tomorrow we'll come back. Oh, Bloom, what a beautiful comment here to wrap up with. What if you share your trauma because you trust that person and feel safe enough to be vulnerable? Well, it's a different kind of sharing. That's not crapping on somebody. That's sharing. That's vibing. That's intimacy. That's intimacy. That's healing somebody and yourself, because it's intimacy. It's not, I will do anything to keep you out while I scream at you that you can't see. So tomorrow I'll be back. We'll talk about either maybe Sun Pluto or Moon Pluto. No, Sun Pluto or Mars Pluto, or maybe Venus Mars aspects. Okay. You guys have a good day.